we need to talk about the current state of smartphone design. You may be familiar with this design by now. A near bezel-less display interrupted only by a single cutout, or notch, in the top of the screen. This design idea is barely a year old, yet it's quickly becoming the norm in the smartphone industry. Though it wasn't the first to introduce the notch, the iPhone X was the first to really embrace the notch in all its glory. The notch on the iPhone X is larger because it houses a sophisticated collection of cameras and sensors to make up this advanced true-depth camera system that brings along the features of Face ID, facial expression tracking, and simulated studio lighting effects in the selfie camera. But it's far from the only notched smartphone on the market today. Since the iPhone X, several devices have adopted the notch, with a scope of different sizes and hardware contained within. This choice of selection will become more apparent later in the video, but these devices give an idea of the variance in notch and bottom bezel, or chin, design on phones today. Personally, I have no problem with the notch, as long as the space cut out from the screen is proportional to the function it provides. The question comes down to what is necessary to include, thus sacrificing screen real estate in the process. The upcoming Pixel 3, for instance, has a deeper notch that goes further into the screen and looks to contain a sensor and camera while likely retaining the front-facing stereo speakers. Arguably the first notched phone, the Essential phone, introduced a notch design as minimal as a single front-facing camera, with the upcoming devices such as the Oppo R17 following suit, adding a more teardrop flare to it. While devices like the new Vivo NEX S forego the notch altogether in favor of a mechanically activated camera sensor hidden inside the top of the phone, with zero interruption in the form factor of the display. Despite constant reimagining of the top of these displays, manufacturers seem to be unable to replicate the edge-to-edge display architecture of the iPhone X. Which brings us to the next part of our discussion, the display chin. No matter how much bezel a smartphone device sheds, they are ultimately left with an unsightly black bar at the bottom, since dubbed the chin of the display. The reason for this interruption in bezel elimination is inherent to the display connection strip that interfaces with the logic board of the device. Its placement on the bottom versus the top is arbitrary to the manufacturer, but its existence is currently unavoidable. The iPhone X, however, is devoid of this bottom black bar due to some ingenious engineering. The bottom edge of the display is able to meet flush with the natural bezel of the device because the connector is folded back behind the display, a solution that takes advantage of the flexibility of OLED screen technology. It's unclear what limitations other manufacturers are experiencing, but this is certainly something that sets the design of the iPhone X apart from other smartphones on the market today. The design of the iPhone X has become iconic at this point, and there are several companies that would rather profit off its already established success rather than build their own. Some of which include the choices of devices I said we'd get back to earlier in the video. Among others, the Xiaomi Mi 8, Lenovo Z5, and Huawei P20 and P20 Pro all have remarkable build similarities to the iPhone X. In particular, the Xiaomi Mi 8 and the upcoming Motorola P30 have blatantly ripped off direct design elements of the iPhone X down to the camera module and logo placement. In judging the Motorola P30 and iPhone X side by side, it's hard to tell the difference, except for the glaring Motorola logo across the all too apparent chin of the display, especially considering the years of litigation Apple went through with Samsung over the design of the iPhone 3G and 3GS. It seems like we'll be seeing many more notches and chins on smartphones before a standout design element arises. Love or hate Apple, you can't argue with their trend-setting position in the industry, at least in features others can easily copy. Thanks for watching. If you want to see my last video, click the annotation in the lower left. If you want to see more in the future and keep up to date with the channel, click the annotation in the bottom right to subscribe. I'm Xiaomi Tech, and I hope to see you next time.